Welcome back to Manly Beach, ladies and gentlemen. It is another women's round of 16. It is the Slovenian combination up against the Australian girls. We are underway, first set action. This is the first play of the rally, or the first play of the match, I should say. Everybody's working really hard. Hello and welcome wherever you are in the world. I'm Jonathan Fogarty. It is a privilege to bring you this match at the FIVB World Tour of Beach Volleyball. Joining me in commentary is the well-credentialed Kerry Potthast, not unlike Mfe on court, a Manly local born and bred. She's a bit of a champion, Mfe, isn't she?
Absolutely, thanks, Jonathan. Great to be here. Always amazing to commentate the Aussies. That first point, how was that first point out from the get-go? Taliqua having to work really hard. This is going to be a nice, tough game. I think the Slovenians have been watching the Aussies throughout the weekend. They'll have some intel on them. I do obviously think the Aussies are strong and they're going to be my favourites, but as a commentator, I'll try and be very neutral for you today, John.
That's okay. That's my job, Kerry. You can be as parochial as you like. These are your girls. This is your strip of sand. That's Mfe. Really good run of tournaments for Taliqua and Maria Fay. They've been up playing some events up in Asia, and basically they haven't been beaten. As far as I can tell, they've won a couple of events together.
So far, I think they've lost one set as a team together, which was yesterday. They came out maybe a little bit slow in the first match and lost the first set, but then regrouped and crushed the next two sets, winning in 3.
A slightly abbreviated preparation for them. They were meant to play last weekend's New South Wales Open together, but Taliqua Clancy collided with FIVB, one of the other Australian athletes, and had a bit of a toe injury, so they rested her for last weekend. And of course, Mfe kept on going, played the New South Wales Open with FIVB and won that. So, you know, Mfe is really, gosh, she's primed and ready and is in almost the form of her life.
Absolutely. Maria Fay, the shorter of the two Aussies, they both look the same with their hair up, the dark hair up, the blue visors. That's Taliqua Clancy right there. She will run to the net and block. That's Maria Fay right there. Does the majority of the defence, almost all of the defence. And she has been incredible. She, over the last couple of years, you know, she's played many tournaments with many different players, but she is so adaptable, so flexible. She's a real pleasure, I think, to play with. Really intense and excitable. And I just think that this combination has definitely got some legs. We still haven't decided who's going to be the combination for the Commonwealth Games coming up next year, but right now, Taliqua, Maria Fay definitely in the box seat.
It's interesting you say that. I reminded them of a little omen that I picked up on a while ago. They had to do some different commercial shoots and promotional shoots for the Commonwealth Games, and they grabbed Mfe and Taliqua to sort of star as the beach volleyball athletes playing together, but they weren't playing together at that time. They were playing with different partners. Commonwealth Games now much, much closer, and all of a sudden they are actually playing together and playing really well. So I asked them if perhaps that was an omen of things to come, and they both kind of gave me that look that they give me to say, why are you talking to me? But anyway, I thought it was funny. So here we go with a really solid start, though. The Australians 7-1 up against the combination from Slovenia, Tjasa Janka and Tjasa Kotnik. And it is the number 2 for Slovenia. That's Kotnik. They both have the same first name, Tjasa. They've played some good volleyball. I've seen a bit of the Slovenians over the last couple of days.
Well, they've definitely played well to get into this round of 16. And they're going to have to play really well to beat these two. Going on to, you'll see Maria Fay, the shorter of the two Australian girls, puts the ball up for Taliqua often on the second touch, so Taliqua can go over on the second touch and she'll have a look and place it, or she'll just get up and bang it to either side. So really hard to defend that ball.
In this case, Taliqua peels back, gets the overhead. We'll get a pretty good set from a partner and gets it away pretty well. One of the things about Taliqua that constantly surprises me, although I've seen her play many, many times now, is you just don't appreciate how long her arms and legs are. She can just reach so elegantly, and she hits the ball nice and high, so can really contact the ball at a really high point.
Yeah, and for a tall player who's around 6'2", she really does have great steadiness. I'm not sure if there's a better stability in the sand. You think, you know, often you're out of position and it's very easy to stumble in the sand for the normal person, but Taliqua, you know, she's not like she's a big strong girl. She just has beautiful ease in the sand and moves around really well and just makes the game look easy. Gives a partner a beautiful handset, which is one of the Australians' advantages. They've really worked hard over the last decade to make sure that they're still using their hands to set the ball. A lot of teams have gone to the bump set, but I love the way the Australians just work hard at using their hands, which makes the setting play, the attack, quicker and more accurate at times.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I'm old-fashioned anyway, Kerry, but I just still think there's a place for a reward in the game for doing the hard work off court and trusting your hand setting and working on that skill. I believe you should be rewarded for that. It's not always the case, but certainly the bump set, as you say, is overused in my view, but I think it makes you a little bit more one-dimensional, a bit predictable. The women's game is dynamic and they hit the ball all around the net and they run different plays. Well, the very good teams do, and I think that's the reward for that hard work you've talked about.
So, just out for Taliqua, but you can see how athletic she is. So it's such a hard dig that Maria Fay gave her, obviously not meaning to give her that dig, but she was still able to get up and have a swing and just miss the sideline. So let's see if Slovenia can get them in trouble off the serve, and that's really going to be their only option to make some points, because otherwise Australia's attack is just too good. This time Taliqua giving Maria Fay a hit and getting an error. So one of Maria Fay's first swings in the game.
It'll be interesting to see the Slovenian team, if they've got a particular service target in mind. You know, Mfay's got so many great trouble shots. She does give away a few centimetres to Taliqua in terms of height, but she can hit winners from really weird places on court that you don't expect. But that's a really good serve. So Slovenia, Tjasa Janka and Tjasa Kotnik just closing the gap. So they didn't start great, Slovenia, but to their credit, they've come back in and closed that gap. Mfay is the target of their attention at this time, but that line shot, wow, normally so steady for Mfay. She's made a couple of errors in this period of time, so a timeout called by the Aussies. That is an uncharacteristic, kind of almost bad patch of skill errors. The pass was good. Mfay to miss that line shot. She's hit that line shot about 1 million times in her life. It's not like her.
And it's interesting, you know, we say, oh, it's out, you know, but we're talking out by a few centimetres, and it could be in by a few centimetres and be a perfect shot. So you're talking about a few centimetres difference of where that ball lands, which is, you know, something that you have to do a lot of repetition to keep that, you know, within that area. But I think that's the only way Slovenia are going to make some points, is to try and take advantage of Maria Fay perhaps making a few errors, hoping for a couple of errors. Not that she gives many away. Taliqua will rarely give an error away. But the way they served left side, right side, they went down Taliqua's line, got an ace, and then straight back over to Maria Fay on her sideline, made it really hard for her to dig. You know, if you give anything to Maria Fay, if you give a serve to her in a beautiful sort of passing area, her zone, she's going to put it up for Taliqua to have a great hit. So, you know, it's a tough. You really have to be accurate with your serves to get any points out of these two.
So I have the scoreboard 7-11. Slovenia down by 4 is the correct score. And that's a much better play. So a good timeout call by the Aussies. Mfay not trying to go for the lines. As a coach, if you're coaching these girls, Kezi, you know, in training, you're trying to hit the line, or you're asking them to try and land the ball just inside the line. When you're doing those repetition shots, what is it that they should be aiming for?
But I think it really depends on their ability. If they are a really, really hard hitter and they want to go out just hitting at angle and hitting it and trying to, I guess, put the defender off balance, you know, hit it as hard as you can, knock them over, go for that if your accuracy isn't so good. If your accuracy is good, then definitely go for the lines. If you can do both, you're going to be one of the best in the world. If you can hit hard and go for the lines. You're
absolutely world class. So we are in the break here, Slovenia in the blue tops, Australia, of course, in the green and gold. The Hello World Volleyroos, as we call them, the combination of Maria Fay Artacho del Solar and Taliqua Clancy. Interestingly enough, both Mfay and T were Rio 2016 Olympians. The debut Olympics for both those athletes, but playing with different partners. So, you know, they've absolutely, I guess, taken their game where many observers of Australian women's beach volleyball thought they should. You know, a lot of people thought Taliqua was a lay down in the air to become an Olympian. But Mfay, you know, she went through a journey, didn't she? She wasn't always everyone's cup of tea as an elite athlete, but boy, she proved them wrong.
Yeah, I think what the coaches perhaps thought was limiting in the beginning for Maria Fay was her height, because in the past we've really given an advantage to the taller players, but Maria Fay's really shown that height is of no advantage if you don't have the guts, the determination, that resilience, the never give up, the never die attitude, and that's what Maria Fay brings to the volleyball court. That's why whenever she plays with any particular player, short, tall, whatever skilled, she always brings her absolute best, and that's what I love most about her, and I think that's what Talik was loving about her too.
Yeah, absolutely. They seem a good partnering, as you say. The Commonwealth Games is something in the Australian sites anyway. The first time the sport will be at the Commonwealth Games, the sport of beach volleyball, so a lot of interest in who will represent Australia. That ball just going out. So Slovenia had a good patch there in the middle. They forced some errors from the Aussies. The Aussies have regrouped and come out and look to be back on their game. Well left roll shot down the line. So for the number 2, Tjasa Kotnik for Slovenia, she disappointed.
It's a great idea, but just couldn't get it on the money. This time Maria Fay is all over that little knuckle. Touch by Slovenia. Can they keep it in? Just.
Did well to avoid touching the net, the Slovenians. So, but then the ball control and the composure. And you just get the sense, Kerry, I know it's very early in this match, that when Australia are concentrating and on, they do seem to have another gear available to them to kind of just get a couple of points in a row. They've gone to 16-7 now.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really nice and composed by Maria Fay. She had plenty of time after that dig to just compose herself physically. She was able to see and feel what was going on with the defence. So that's the position you want to get in, where you're really composed, you're not kind of struggling too hard, and you can see everything in front of you. The court is open. And then sometimes when you're mentally really frustrated, it seems like there's no court and the ball is really huge, and the opposition seemed to be everywhere.
There's 6 of them out there.
Exactly, that's what it feels like. So it's a real mental struggle. Although this is a team sport, it's also very individual as well. You have to struggle with your own demons, your own doubts, your own, confidence, ups and downs.
Yeah, we were chatting to some of the athletes last night, and I detected there seems to be different types of athletes, and the ones that want to be the one getting the ball served to them when the pressure was on. You were that athlete. If you were down match point, you wanted them to serve the ball to you, didn't you?
Most of the time. If you were on, you wanted them to, especially if you thought your partner might have been had a little bit of doubt or had a bit of a bad patch. You definitely wanted to. But and I've been in both situations where you're not getting any of the serves, and then all of a sudden you're getting all of the serves, and it's a very different situation. And you've got to be very flexible and adaptable as a partner too, to deal with how your partner's feeling.
The ups and downs, sure. And I guess any great partnership is the ability to kind of understand where your partner is at in their game and their headspace to help them out. So 9-17, the combination from Slovenia, Tjasa Janka and Tjasa Kotnik. Trailing by 8 now. The Australian girls, in bunches of points, have really managed to open up a big lead that the ball's going to go long. So again, where we've seen the Aussies be able to put their foot down, they've had these kind of little fade-out moments. Maybe it's a consistency issue. Maybe I'm not giving enough credit to the Slovenians for putting the pressure on, but the knuckleball well out from T. She won't have enjoyed seeing that. Some good serving puts Mfei under pressure. And a great block. So that's exactly what Slovenia needs. Tjasa Janka getting a good block in play.
The last two, she really had Maria Fay's number, so she's really reaching and deciding, making that decision of which way Maria Fay is going to hit. The one before that, she went angle. This one, she went for the harder line hit. So just needs to see the block a little bit more, Maria Fay, so she can have a swing around it.
11-17.
So she goes behind, makes a good choice, but Slovenia are on that, and that's going to be in her mind. She's going to be thinking, okay, they've blocked me, and now they've almost dug me.
But I like when we talked earlier about the benefits of working on your hand setting and having the trust in your partner to use their hands to set. You can run a really varied attack, and that was a really varied attack. The back set changed up their point of attack really nicely, and then they come back with a tough serve for Talik Clancy to bring up point number 19. So 19-11, the Australian combination. Maria Fay, Artacho del Solar, Talik Clancy with the ball now leading 19-11 in a really strong position in the first set. A women's round of 16, and that is a skill error that will bring up a whole bunch of set points. So again, just as Slovenia kind of work themselves into a bit of momentum, they go back to back to back, and it's really there for the Australians to take. At 20 points to 11, it is set point. Slovenia with a bit of work to do to stay alive in this first set. Not a bad play. Tiasa Kotnik there just dropping the ball over the block, which is not easy to do. They still have 8 set points to stare down, so any error now for the Slovenians will see the first set going to the Aussies. So set point number 2, Slovenia serving against Australia. Mfe is their focus. Talikwa, she sets up so elegantly for that play, and you know she's going to do it as they win the first set, but it's hard to stop her.
It is. It's very high. It's very fast. It's what we call a shot. I wouldn't call that, you know, her hardest hit. She most definitely hit harder than that. It's just a well-placed shot. And even though Slovenia saw it coming, still very hard to dig that ball.
All right, well, there it is, folks. The first set of this match, Australia v Slovenia. Australia, you'd have to say, reasonably comfortable. 21-12, I believe the score was. So that puts them in good shape. You're watching what we call the round of 16. It's a sudden death affair. What that means, folks, is the loser of this match is finished for the tournament for the weekend, and they'll finish in 9th place. When we come back, the second set action will get underway. Australia v Slovenia.
Sydney, surrounded by pristine national parks, riverways, stunning water views, iconic beaches, and coastal walks from the north to the south, all with the beautiful harbour at its heart. You'll love every second of Sydney. Discover more at sydney.com.
Welcome back to beautiful Manly Beach. It is a privilege to bring it to you. The FIVB World Tour of Beach Volleyball. My name is Jonathan Fogarty. Joining me in commentary is all-time legend of the sport in this country or any other, Kerry Pothast. The Australian girls. The next generation, Kerry, is in pretty good hands right now.
Yeah, well, you're looking right now at a couple of amazing, or all 4 amazing athletes here on Manly Beach. We're very lucky to have one of the World Tour events here. We had one in March this year. We've got another one now. We had a men's event as well. Beach volleyball really looking good in Australia right now. And, of course, in the beautiful Sydney. How lucky are we?
How lucky are we? This is a really good first point of the second set. Australia eventually win it, folks. You're watching, as I've said, the FIVB World Tour of Beach Volleyball. On court at the moment, the team from Slovenia in the blue tops, Tiasa Janka, Tiasa Kotnik, up against the Australian girls in the gold tops, the Hello World Volleyroos, Maria Faye Artacho del Salar and Talikwa Clancy. The Aussie girls winning the first set underway. We are in the second. First point went to the Aussies. They lead 1-0. That's the first score on the left that you can see. The second score is the current set score. Click over to 2-0 on the back of that error from Slovenia. That's Mfe, the local gal. I was joking with her the other day after she won the New South Wales Open. I said, this is your office. This is where you work for a living. I said, I guess that makes you the CEO of Manly Beach. I used to call you the mayor of Manly. Are you happy for her to be the CEO of Manly?
She can be whatever she wants of Manly Beach as long as she keeps playing beautifully like that. Wonderful player, wonderful role model for the young kids, you know, starting off very young. She actually grew up in Peru. She came over here and with her mum, and she just absolutely fell in love with the beaches here, and she was out there as a youngster, and, you know, she was always around. Like, nobody ever really thought that Maria Faye would end up being at the Olympics back when she was perhaps 14, 15. She definitely had that grunt in her.
Yeah, she had something. What I loved about her Rio campaign in 2016 is that her Instagram followers blew up, and when they looked at it was all these people in Peru that found out that they had this Peruvian-born athlete, yes, representing Australia. They actually had someone to cheer for in the beach volleyball, and she's all of a sudden, through the course of the 2 weeks, you know, you were busy watching the games there, but over the course of the 2 weeks, oh, what a yellow card shown. Anyway, she blew up in Peru. All of a sudden, she had all these social media followers that just loved everything about her and loved that she was kind of, yes, she was Australian, but she was absolutely Peruvian at heart. So that was a nice story, that she still feels connected to her host, you know, her birth nation and where she came from. So
yeah, absolutely. But she's definitely through and through an Aussie, and all she's ever wanted to do is represent Australia and get to the Olympics, which she did in 2016 with Nikki Laird, and Talikwa was there with Louise Borden, and now they've found themselves together at the end of this year, and we still don't know who the teams are going to be for next year. Australia has a plethora of great female players, so it's great that we have a choice. and hopefully the best two will make it through and we can get a gold.
Who'd be a selector, huh, Ken?
We have some selectors. I'm not on the selecting panel. But yeah, look, we're going to select, and of course it's up to the athletes as well. They're going to have a choice in that, and they're going to want to play with the person that they most think that they can do the best with, and you really need to have a partner that brings out the best in you.
Of course, a lot of really good nations will go to Com Games. Canada are a big threat. We'll talk a lot more about Com Games as we go, but for now, here on centre court at the FIVB World Tour of Beach Volleyball, this two-star event here at Manly Beach. Taliqua Clancy just hanging around, being a bit of a nuisance at the net there.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Taliqua has mainly played as a defensive player in the first part of her World Tour career behind the block of Louise Borden. So now she finds herself in that blocking position, and it really is great for her development as a player to be able to play both roles. And, you know, I wouldn't worry if Maria Fay was up at the net for a while as well and did some blocking, because it just gives you a different aspect seeing the game from either close to the net or from behind in defence. Whoops, just under the net.
So collision there, you don't like to see that. Hopefully everyone's okay. Sunglasses have been smashed. The arm, nice, wow. Nice moment there.
That would have been a hard...
Oh gosh. That... Wow,
that could have been bad for both players.
Yeah, I think she's maybe even going into an injury timeout here. We'll just see what occurs. That was a pretty serious collision. You don't like to see that. The athletes can't obviously collide under the net. If it is an interference situation, it will be called. Absolutely no malice in it, but you don't like seeing athletes colliding like that. You don't want to see any injuries. So fortunately, it appears just a set of sunglasses, a set of bollets have been hurt, not the athletes themselves. But interesting, the composure is the thing. And when you have a moment like that, Kez, I like the experience from T. Serve the ball straight back to the lady that had been in trouble. So that's probably good game craft from Taliqua.
Nice roll shot over deep. So Maria Fay kind of thought that was going to be down, but stopped halfway through. So Australia still with a nice lead. Slovenia having to do something pretty tough here.
Tjasa Kotnik for Slovenia serving at the second ball play. Sets up really nicely. She makes that look so easy. Just seems to have a lot of time. I guess when you've got really long arms and you're 6'2" and you've got a good jump on you, you just buy yourself time, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's a lot more than that. I think it's that composure as well. I think she comes in quite fast and then she slows down to make a shot, which is, it may be obvious to the opposition, but she's got great court sense as well. Taliqua, she sees where the players are and aren't. This time she'll set. Beautiful back set to Maria Fay.
It's going to go out, so bit of a hustle, but they got it done. A few different 2-ball and 3-ball options, but the Australians look really composed for Tjasa Janka and Tjasa Kotnik, the Slovenians. They had some nice patches in the first set, but it really always looked like Australia, as probably the more credentialed, the more experienced team, always had all the answers. So they will go in and sit down in the shade and just compose themselves. There was a nasty moment, the collision between Taliqua's leg and Tjasa's face that broke her sunglasses. So I hope she's okay. She still seems a little discombobulated, as you can imagine. She might have even cut herself there. It looks like she may be bleeding from the nose, so maybe she's not as well as perhaps we thought. It's a bit hard to tell.
Yeah, that was nasty. It could have been nasty for Taliqua as well. You know, we see that a lot in football where people come in on somebody's side of the leg and that could be a knee ligament right there. So absolutely. Thank goodness nothing serious happened. But of course it is illegal, and you can go under the net if there's no other player there. But if you actually go under the net and then you interfere with the other player, that will be counted against you. So still have to be very careful about that.
Absolutely. So we are back in action. Australia 9-3. They won the first set pretty comfortably. They lead by 6 in the second. The round of 16 here at Manly Beach for the FIVB World Tour of Beach Volleyball. Here's an opportunity for Taliqua, but that ball just got a little bit close and gave the opportunity for Tjasa Janka to just reach in and did a nice job of shutting it down. Only just tagged the line, but it was good enough. She reached in, got a bit of pressure on the ball.
Yeah, she's definitely up there with Taliqua. She's similar height. Staying back to dig that time. Still in the play, Slovenia, so well read.
Not the second time. She wants to hit that second ball a lot today, doesn't she, Taliqua? It's like she's in a hurry or she's got a point to prove.
She's in a hurry. Well, it's definitely one of their strategies. So Maria Fay's so good in controlling that first touch, the dig, that every single time she will put it in a position that Taliqua can have a choice and she can either go for it. So if Taliqua feels like she can see it, she will most definitely take it. And I love that about her. She's most definitely a risk taker.
Yeah, and absolutely. And if you look at where the Slovenians ended up, they ended up in this kind of weird I formation where neither of them was really participating in a defensive pattern. And it made it actually pretty easy. So breaking up your pattern, catching the opposition off guard is definitely a good thing. And then a classic trademark, just wrist snap. I've seen Taliqua bury the ball hard, and we all know she can do it. She demands to be blocked by her ability, but as soon as you put a block up, it just opens up all those shots to her.
Absolutely. She's just very, very skillful when she's in control and in a great position on the net. So that time, Maria Fay, just too much pressure on the dig, on the serve reception. She's got a lovely float serve. She can also do a top spin serve into the wind, so a lot of variety too from the girls. This time going for that top float serve again, nicely handled. And then an error, so 14-4. As we saw them in the first set, they were able to put their foot down, the Australians. So Taliqua Clancy, Maria Fay Artacho del Solar. In absolutely postcard conditions here at Manly Beach. Rarely have I seen it look so nice. It's about 24, 25 degrees now. Light breeze coming off the ocean, but not really enough to have a real impact on the play. At the moment, Taliqua Clancy and Mfay, they are absolutely in control. 15-4 for Slovenia. They need to, dare I quote Taylor Swift, shake it off and get their heads back into this game. Nicely handled by Slovenia. Again, going for the big swing, but maybe they're getting a little tight. It is very warm. You said it was, low 20s, but in fact, it's like a little box, a little hot box there with the corporate stands around it. We can't see that, but behind the camera, there's a boardwalk which is raised above the sand. So probably 4 or 5 degrees warmer down there. Girls, you can see the sweat glistening off Taliqua's shoulders. So very warm. That was an easy ball. The ball is allowed to hit the top of the net and dribble down for a point. So Slovenia not even making a go for that ball. I think they've well and truly realised that to get out of this now, we're only going to 21. It's going to be almost... It's not impossible. You never say it's impossible.
No, never say never. But gosh, they do look baked. I've got to say, they've got to have to... Going to have to regroup really quickly. A timeout is called. Australia currently leading this match 1-0 and leading the second 17-4. It is the Australian combination of Maria Fay Artacho del Solar and Taliqua Clancy up against the Slovenian combination Tjasa Janka and Tjasa Kotnik. And a really good local crew. It's Saturday morning here in Australia, folks. Don't know where you're watching the coverage, but hope you're enjoying it. It's Saturday morning. The locals at Manly, they've been out surfing, they're out walking the dog. It's a beautiful lifestyle here in Manly, which I know is a large part of the reason that you've called it home for so many years. Yeah,
it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a lovely part of Sydney, but as you saw in the opening or in the shots between sets, there are so many beaches like this in Sydney. Incredible, the harbour, and there's so much coastline. You can just pick a spot and stay there forever.
Well, picking a spot on the court is Taliqua Clancy. She'll have to get a block, perhaps. Mfay scares it out over the sideline. So for the Slovenian girls, they just seem to have lost their radar. They can't hit a clean winner. They can't seem to break out of this pattern. The Australian girls getting plenty of touches. Not trying to overcook that. I like that from Taliqua. She wasn't going to hit a clean winner, but she was putting enough pressure on the ball to keep the opposition on their toes, and they'll go out to a good lead. Slovenia now have got a chance. The service line, Tjasa goes back. That is Janka. And just can't put any pressure on from the service line.
So, yeah, really, I think mentally now the Slovenians have really dropped. Playing the last few points, perhaps just for a bit of pride. This will be their last match if they lose this game. So they want to finish off with some confidence. Like that.
There you go. That's more like it.
That'll give her a little bit of enjoyment, I think.
Got the Kerry Potter seal of approval. That hard driven. We need more of that. Tjasa Janka saw it clearly and said, "You know what? I'm going to slot this one hard." It was a pretty good set from Tjasa Kotnik. But then again, they go back to the service line, and it's really going out with a whimper rather than a bang, unfortunately. So, girls from Australia set up and ready to win this match It is match point. You'll see, the Slovenians just saving another one. So Tjasa Janka, Tjasa Kotnik still staring down the barrel of 13 match points. This is Tjasa Janka. Can she get a few points back, Kerry, as you say? No. 3 service errors in a row. That tells the tale. Congratulations, Australia. Maria Faye Artacho del Solar and Taliqua Clancy from Australia have defeated Tjasa Janka, Tjasa Kotnik, 21-12, 21-7. So, sadly for the Slovenians, they'll go out, not their best match for the Australian girls. They'll go through to a quarter-final and maybe beyond. So, really complete, composed performance by the Aussies, Kez.
Yeah, great performance from the Australians. They'll be happy with that. Get that over and done with as quick as possible, nice and crisp. Not too many errors, Maria Faye. A couple of errors at the beginning, but she certainly made up for it with some great plays towards the end of the match.
Well, there you have it. That game is done and won. Women's round of 16. Australia have beaten Slovenia. When we come back to Manly Beach, more great beach volleyball action to come.